Hey there, connoisseurs. It's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today's Saturday, June 14th. Happy Saturday. Hope you're doing well and hope you're having a great weekend. I'm going to dive into another rapid fire news update, this time for the period June 7th to 13th. And again, it's just a high level overview in case you missed it. Before we get to it, make sure to smash like. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all the good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos. And I do these MJ rapid fire news updates each and every week on Saturday. So you'll be notified whenever I post new content. And as always, this is not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. Jumping right into the news. Study shows that CBD actually reverses memory impairment and brain changes linked to schizophrenia-like symptoms, as we continue to see more and more studies roll in and medicine of the future really take hold. Also, major alcohol industry group is pushing Congress to dial back proposed hemp product ban. And one thing I really believe that is going to be allowed to thrive is going to be the beverages. That's just something that's very capital intensive, and a lot of these companies, alcohol retailers as well, depend on it. And it's going to be really hard to walk that back. And it's just a very acceptable form factor as well. And a lot of growth in that sector as well. The non-alcoholic sector has been huge, but the hemp, kind of Delta 9 hemp beverages, those have been absolutely exploding. So we'll continue to keep tabs on that. This is pretty interesting. MJ users are nearly 5 times as likely to regularly exercise than eat fast food, stereotype busting survey shows. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section below. When you light up or you pop some gummies, do you feel more like eating fast food or hitting the gym? Let me know. Also, study shows that 37% of Californians use MJ. Majority report for mental and physical health benefits. So again, not just a healthier alternative to alcohol and tobacco. While that's very true, it's also medicine of the future, and it has massive benefits. Also, Tilray subsidiary Manitoba Harvest and Whole Foods subsidiary of Amazon collaborate to launch new protein-packed hemp plus superfood smoothie boosters. Also, speaking of Tilray, we'll jump right into this. I already posted a video on this, but essentially the shareholders approved the reverse stock split. So now the board has the approval, and it's up to them at their discretion to do a 1-for-10 reverse split all the way up to 1-for-20. So they can't do a 1-for-30 because that wasn't approved. The range that was approved was from a 1-to-10 to 1-to-20. But the company said it's pausing the implementation as it evaluates timing and stock price. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. We know that they have until September 21st, so 6 months to regain compliance, just like VFF just did, which we have some news coming in a moment. They regained compliance, but they were issued a warning a couple of years ago in 2023. They were given a 180-day extension. And then this time, the second time they got a warning, they got another 180-day extension. So we could get another 6 months from September 21st for Tilray. So effectively a whole year before we even have to worry about it. So I don't see why they would want to do it right now. And there was about 41% of shareholders who didn't want this to happen. So the majority did approve it, but 41%, that's no small number to bark at. So that's why I think they're just kind of taking their foot off the gas here a little bit and just seeing how things play out. But I think that's a wise decision. They got tons of time, no reason to rush it at this point. Also, Trump's federal budget cuts could boost MJ legalization efforts as states seek new revenue, Congresswoman says. So again, if we get some sort of reform in the U.S., whether it be safer banking, which I think is very probable over the next year or so, and then rescheduling, if we get rescheduling to Schedule 3, and then even an effort to potentially deschedule it either through case law or through Congress, things could change in a hurry, and that would effectively help these companies who are struggling with their share price minimum bid price requirement. We know Cannabis just did a 1-for-10. They were at 77 cents again after doing a 1-for-10, but they're well above $1 now. But they're flirting with that dollar mark quite often and could potentially have to do a second reverse split similar to Aurora, which has already done a 1-for-12 and a 1-for-10. And a lot of the U.S. companies don't have to deal with this because they're not listed on the U.S. major exchanges, right? So they don't have to deal with the NASDAQ compliance rules because they're not on the NASDAQ. But eventually they will suffer from the same type of challenges. Also, Forefront initiates bankruptcy and insolvency act proceedings in Canada. I mentioned this on X as well, and a lot of platforms that really pay attention to the companies that promote these companies that end up going bankrupt, right? We want to remember that because we want to be we want to be mindful of where we take our information from. And just always remember the companies, the shady companies that were promoted by different influencers and news media outlets. The vertically integrated multi-state MJ operator initiated the proceedings following its U.S. receivership petition. So, and I've been saying, about AYR, we really have to wave the red flag here. And I've been screaming from the rooftops that AYR is a very, very troubling company, in my opinion, and you have to be very careful, right? There's over 1,000 producers in Canada. There's thousands in the U.S. There's not going to be that much room for all of them to thrive, and most of them are going to, suffer the same fate as the ones in Canada, where they go through, bankruptcy, CCAA filings, and it's going to be carnage. Again, we don't need thousands and thousands of producers. We need, maybe a couple dozen, right? But there's going to be winners and losers across each side of the border, Canadian, American, international as well, European companies, right? There's going to be tons of companies out there. MTL MJ earns top tier spot on OTC market. So companies on this over-the-counter marketplace need a minimum share price of 25 cents US. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he's undecided on legislation to ban the psychoactive component statewide. Ban hemp Delta 9. And if we take a look here, Texas voters also oppose state's attempt to ban hemp psychoactive component. So the majority of Texans, regardless of political party, reject Senate Bill 3 ban on hemp-based products, fearing it will empower drug cartels. So we'll see. We'll continue to keep. I think there's about less than 2 weeks now for that ultimate decision to come out. Also, MJ operator, as I mentioned earlier, Village Farms regains NASDAQ compliance. So this wasn't the first time in October 2023. They received a warning and they were given a 180-day extension. They regained compliance organically. And then this time as well, they had the same type of warning, and then they were able to get the extension by 180 days. And then there was news that they were going to be divesting their produce business, Vanguard Food, and focusing just on MJ, and the market liked it, and it regained compliance back on the NASDAQ. So love to see that. And I do own VFF. I wasn't 100% sold on their business model because of the fact that they had that produce business. I wasn't sold on, kind of having that multifaceted type of their business. But now that they're just focusing on MJ, I'm really starting to hone in on that position and start to add to that position. So I'm going to be looking to add a lot more. And we have been pulling back a little bit. So I'm looking to potentially pull the trigger here again soon. But again, not financial advice, not telling you to buy, sell, or hold. MediPharm also announced complete dismissal of dissident court proceeding. The Superior Court of Justice, Ontario, dismissed the proceeding related to the company's annual and special meeting of shareholders. So there's been some drama with the MediPharm board and company as a whole. We'll continue to watch that as it unfolds as well. We'll see if better times are ahead for the company. Also, Cresco Labs announces change of auditor. They announced the change from Markham LLP to Baker Tilly US LLP, and they will seek shareholder ratification of Baker Tilly's appointment at the next AGM. Moving right along, fentanyl criminalization bill headed to Trump's desk also makes it easier to study MJ, Congressman says. So a lot of analysts and experts are hopeful that we're going to see some major reform under this new administration in the U.S., and I would have to agree. The writing's on the wall. Supported, MJ legalization in Florida, Amendment 3, supported medical and rescheduling, safer banking. So again, I think the writing's on the wall, promises made, promises kept has sort of been the trend, and I do believe that they will follow through on that. AYR fails to complete Q1 2025 interim financial filings. Again, have to be very, very cautious with this company, folks. I've been saying it for many, many months now. Ever since Amendment 3 failed in Florida, they got out of certain states and focused on Florida. There's a lot of competition in Florida. It's Truliev's stomping grounds. Price compression, price wars. There's a lot of competition and saturation in the U.S. and specifically in some of these markets. So to be very, very cautious, especially with these companies that are, changing up their management team left, right, and center, changing their markets that they're in, and high debt loads. So as a result, their cease trade order remains in effect. The MJ company provided an update on the delay of its financial statements analysis and related executive officer certificates. So we'll continue to monitor that, but not a great look whatsoever. Also, IIPR declares second quarter 2025 dividend, and Curaleaf reported voting results from the 2025 AGM of shareholders. And you can see here that this is the name of all the directors, and all of them had over 97% voted for. All right, going to end it there. Let me know what you think of this news in the comments section below. We'll continue the conversation there. It's Rod with Powell Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you again on the next one.